Hello my dear friends, Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to top lesson for you. Dear friends, as you know that we are discussing about the nucleus, the structure of the nucleus, right? So in the previous lecture I had told you that in the center of the cell we have a very special part which is a control center of the cell, and this special part is called the nucleus, right? And now let us discuss the study and the structure. Let us discuss the structure of the cell, the parts of the cell in a big detail, right? So I had told you that this membrane is the nuclear membrane or the nuclear envelope. So first of all I will discuss this nuclear envelope. What is this? Then we know that this is called the lumen of this nucleus, right? And then we have some other parts. Nucleolus is there, caudal bodies are there, pineal bodies are there, nucleoplasm is there, DNA is there, chromatin, heterochromatin, euchromatin. These all will be inshallah discussed. So let us see the structure of the nuclear membrane, right? Nuclear membrane. So what is nuclear membrane? So if you focus here we have outside the nucleus we have a viscous jelly-like fluid, and this jelly-like fluid is called the cytoplasm, and inside the nucleus we have another jelly-like substance, fluid-like substance. This is called nucleoplasm, right? So the outer to nucleus is the cytoplasm, done. Inside the nucleus we have the nucleoplasm, right? So what is nuclear membrane? This membrane, nuclear membrane is a membrane which separates, which is a boundary between the cytoplasm and the nucleoplasm, right? So this is a boundary, this is a membrane in between cytoplasm and nucleoplasm. So this is the definition, the nuclear membrane, the membrane which separates cytoplasm from nucleoplasm, right? The membrane which separates the nucleoplasm from cytoplasm, or cytoplasm from the nucleoplasm, or we can also say that the membrane or the boundary between cytoplasm and nucleoplasm is called the nuclear membrane, right? This is its definition. Now let us enter into the structure of the nuclear membrane. So if you talk about the structure of the nuclear membrane, so it consists of an outer membrane, right? Then it contains an perimembranous space, right? Then number 3, it consists of an inner membrane. Then number 4, it contains nuclear pores. And number 5, it contains nuclear lamina. Now we have to discuss each part in detail. Let me draw here a big diagram of this nuclear membrane, right? So yeah, it contains these 5 important structures: the outer membrane, the perimembranous space, the inner membrane, the nuclear pores, and the nuclear lamina. Now let me draw here a big nucleus, and we will see all those structures which are present in that, right? So look my dear friends, this is a nucleus, right? This is not a cell, this is a nucleus. So this nucleus consists of an inner membrane, right? This is an inner membrane, right? And then it contains an outer membrane, I told you, right? The inner membrane, this is the outer membrane, right? This is its outer membrane. Done. Okay. Then there is perimembranous space. So look friends, this is inner membrane. Okay. This is the outer membrane. Right. And then in between the inner membrane and outer membrane there is a space, and this space is called the perimembranous space, right? So this is perimembranous space, right? And then we have nuclear pores. So in special points there are pores, right? There are channels, there are proteins which allows the transport of substances in between the nucleus and the cytoplasm. So these are those pores, right? And these pores, I will discuss the structures of these pores in detail, we will see. So these are some special proteins here which are present, and they allow the movement of small and charged substances to move in and out of the nucleus. So these are called the nuclear pores, right? And we will discuss the structure of these nuclear pores, inshallah, we will see, right? So these are the nuclear pores. Okay, let me write it here. Nuclear pores, right? One cell can have 1,000, one nucleus can have 1,000 nuclear pores, or some nuclei can also have 10,000 nuclear pores, right? And then we have the nuclear lamina. So the lamina of the nucleus is present inner to the inner membrane. This is the inner membrane. So inner to the inner membrane there are some there is a protein dense layer which is called the nuclear lamina. And this protein dense layer, this fibrillar protein dense layer, consists of many types of proteins. I will discuss them. So this is called the nuclear lamina, and this nuclear laminal proteins are continuous with the proteins of, I will simply say that this nuclear lamina is in contact with the inner membrane of the nuclear membrane, right? So there are certain proteins which connect them there, and this inner fibrillar protein layer is continuous with the nuclear genetic materials of the cell. So this will be the genetic materials of the cell, right? So this is a very simple structure of the nuclear membrane. So now let's discuss each part in detail here, right? So there is outer membrane and there is inner membrane. So first of all I will discuss the outer membrane, right? So let me erase this part a little bit to have a space to discuss everything in detail. So the first thing which I am going to discuss is the outer membrane. Right. So the outer membrane of the nuclear membrane is continuous with the you can say the endoplasmic reticulum, right? So it is similar to endoplasmic reticulum. Why? Because at certain points it has ribosomes attached to it, right? So these are the ribosomes attached to the outer membrane of the nuclear membrane, right? So you know that inside the cell we have, as I have drawn there, inside the cell we have what we have the endoplasmic reticulum, right? So if this is our endoplasmic reticulum, so the endoplasmic reticulum has two membranes, the outer membrane and the inner membrane. So the outer membrane of it contains ribosomes attached to it. So these are ribosomes. So let me write them here as these are attached ribosomes, right? So these are ribosomes, right? And you can see here that the outer membrane of the nuclear membrane also have ribosomes attached to it, right? So we say that the outer membrane is little resembles the endoplasmic reticulum, right? So it resembles endoplasmic reticulum. Why? Because it also contains some ribosomes attached to it. So these are the ribosomes, right? So outer membrane, we say that it is similar to endoplasmic reticulum, right? Okay, then it contains the cytoplasmic, it is the cytoplasmic surface, right? We say that it is the cytoplasmic surface. How? We know that outside the nuclear membrane there is cytoplasm. So cytoplasm is in contact with the outer membrane of the nuclear membrane, right? So okay, this is the cytoplasmic surface of the nuclear membrane, and it contains ribosomes. So we know that it contains ribosomes, right? Then what is the thickness of this membrane? The thickness, so the thickness of this membrane is 7 to 9 nanometer thick. So it is 7 to 9 nanometer thick, right? So this is a little bit about the outer nuclear membrane. So let me take a piece of it and draw it also here, right? So if we draw it like this, done, like this, and here is the other part. Done, friends. I have taken a small piece, this area, and I have enlarged it here, right? So this will be the outer membrane. सही है, ये outer membrane. This is the inner membrane, right? This is the perimembranous space, right? And in between there are pores. So we have told you that here are special protein channels, and these are called the nuclear pores. So I have taken the small piece of it, right, and I have enlarged it here. So the outer membrane, the perimembranous space, and the inner membrane, and in between at special points there are pores through which exchange of different substances and diffusion and movements of different substances occurs inside and outside the nucleus. So these are called the nuclear pores. So the thickness of this outer membrane, this is the outer membrane, so the thickness of this outer membrane is 7 to 9 nanometer, and it contains ribosomes attached to it, so as we have drawn here, right? So that's why I have said that it resembles the endoplasmic reticulum in its structure, right? Then let's move towards the inner membrane or towards the perimembranous space. Number 2, perimembranous space. So it is the space between the inner nuclear membrane and the outer nuclear membrane. So let me write it here, space between inner nuclear membrane, INM, and outer nuclear membrane, right? So ONM, outer nuclear membrane, inner nuclear membranes. I am writing it shortly, right? So the space between outer nuclear membrane and inner nuclear membrane, right? This space is called the perimembranous space, and it contains the lumen of the envelope, right? Or we can say the perimembranous space is also known as the lumen of nuclear membrane or nuclear envelope, right? And what is the thickness of this? From here, if we go up to here, what will be the thickness? So its thickness is about 20 to 40 nanometer thick, the perimembranous space, and it has certain proteins attached to it, and these proteins have certain attachments to inside of the nucleus with the nuclear lamina, right? So this is called the perimembranous space, right? Done. Then we move towards the inner nuclear membrane.